And right before we're about to go inside, my roommate gets up, grabs the kid with diabetes insulin, grabs it and holds it in the air like he's gonna smash it.
Grabs his insulin?
He grabs all, like, he's got a pouch of, like, medical supplies that he needs to be alive. And my roommate grabs it, runs, and then holds it in the air over the concrete. And we're like, no.
Alright, and we're back. I thought we were doing tuna today.
No.
And I actually... No. Oh, okay.
We're gonna get, if we get 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, which we need 10 more, Makenzi, we're doing tiers.
We're gonna try to keep doing stuff until Marcus cries.
Well, that's impossible. I have no soul.
No, we're gonna shock him with a dog collar eventually.
Cold, pain doesn't affect me. The first one is Makenzi gets the tuna salad slap me. That's when she's gonna make my head a sandwich. And mayonnaise in one hand, oil-filled tuna in the other. And then she slaps me in the face. That's if we get to 3,000 subs. 4,000 subs, she's going to get to electrocute me with a dog collar that has 100 levels.
Yeah.
If we get to 10,000 subs,
eventually I just murder you.
If we get to 100,000 subs, you get to cut my head off in front of my mom.
We'll also take suggestions.
Yeah, no, 100%. I can't think of too many. Like, my brain will, like, stop me from thinking of things to, like, protect me. Right now, we're going to take advantage of the fact that through the camera, people are like, I want to hit you!
Yeah.
And then we'll just have you be the manifestation of that.
Just, like, zoom into how douchey Marcus's face is.
I don't have a beard, so it could be worse. But if you catch an eyebrow in the right light...
if you didn't have a beard right now, full douchebag. But, like, imagine how satisfying just... No, I was gonna pretend to punch your face.
Hell yeah.
Don't knuckles me.
Hell yeah.
You didn't even do it right. You hit me with the corner on my pinky and it hurt.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry that hurt. So, my roommate is now single. So, this weekend, we had people over at our house. I don't drink, so it gives me, like, mad anxiety if I'm gonna be around people who are drinking. Unless I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be around. You know what I mean?
Unless
like,
you plan for it.
If people are, I'm like, oh, God, they're coming home and I think they've been out all night. Then I'm start to be like, fuck. And then I, like, lock my door. And they literally will, like, unlock my door. And they're like, Marcus! And then I'm just like, what? And they're like,
what's up?
What are you doing? And it's like, dude, your eyes aren't even both open the same amount. I just like being alone, and when I want to be alone, it bothers me when people are fucking with that. But then this time I was like, okay, they're going to be there all day. I'm going to hang out with them. So it was a lot of fun. But what one of them decided was, every 30 minutes we're going to shotgun a beer, which is just unsustainable at 4 p.m. The night started with them just getting blasted right away. We got a fire pit. So at some point, my roommate just was like, I'm going to jump it. And we're like, do not jump it. Because, like, what is the
I would want to jump it.
The upside is you jump over the fire.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And no one gives a shit. We're all adults. So nobody's like, oh, he jumps? His legs go up? No one gave a fuck. And downside is, you're on fire. You know when, like, somebody's like, dare me to do this? And you're like, you just want to do it.
He's running towards the fire, but ends up, like, veering to the right and jumping over
so
just
he's like,
the ground.
Should I jump over the fire? We're like, no. He just starts backing up. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then he jumps over it. And then somehow the fire gets way bigger, because drunk people are just like, what else can we put in this? And then he's like, I'm going to jump it again. And then he jumps it and clips a branch and rips like a whole on fire tree out. And then that's just on the lawn. And then they're like, oh! And they throw it back in the thing and everybody's freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, this could have went so much worse. There's one kid who just, I don't know if it's insecurity or what it is, but just like going at a pace that he knows he can't handle, but like doing like a poker face. So everybody's like, all right, yeah, next one. And then he just is gone for like a half hour. Comes back.
Just disappeared.
He's just gone.
Yeah.
He's cool when he's around, but like,
I'm not
concerned.
Where did he disappear to?
I don't know. He just came back eventually, and then he was just like, no, I'm good. I think I'm going to drive home in like an hour. We're like, yo, you're not driving home. And then he was like, I think I'm going to puke. And then I was like, he was literally sitting like on the outdoor couch we have, like 3 feet away from me. I was like, haha, go in the woods.
Bye.
And then he just disappeared again. We found him on the couch later, laying like a mummy, and he was just asleep and
like
no
a
noises.
vampire ready to
literally
ride.
Like, no, yeah, he fell asleep perfectly straight, no noise from him. So he's tapped out instantly. So across the street from our house is it's an Asian restaurant. Somehow my roommate and like people around have befriended the people that own it.
Yeah.
So sometimes they'll text the people and the place is shut down. So it's like we're closing at 10, and then my friends will text them, and then they tip them well and stuff, and then they like basically just have like a private night at this restaurant bar place, and the guys there are like our age, and so they befriended them. My roommate's like, all right, we're going to Soho, and then we drive 5 minutes away across the street. We're just at this restaurant, and then they all leave to go smoke a cigarette. So my one friend, I'm gonna make up his name, let's say it's Mike, and then my friend Mike just runs back out with a lit cigarette, and he's in the kitchen, and he's like, yo, come here, and then puffs the cigarette and blows it out in the kitchen. I'm like, oh my god, that is wrong. And then they're like, Mike, get out of here. He's like, I'm not smoking it. And like, as he's saying it, there's just it's like I'm just a dragon. And it's like smoke going everywhere. So we get to this restaurant, my roommate, I'm like, oh, he's got to stop drinking. So I'm like, they keep pouring me like shots. I'm like, I don't drink. So like they poured like 2 drinks out that are not getting drank. And I'm like, oh shit, my roommate can't have those. Mike, you take a shot. Mike, they poured me a sake bomb. Mike, you gotta take 2 sake bombs now. And then Mike has a beer, and then I think they take probably 2 more shots all in the span of an hour after shotgunning like 8 to 12 beers earlier. And they are all just out of it. So they're dancing in this restaurant, just embarrassing themselves. And then we're leaving, and they had like the little candy bowl. I take 1 piece of candy. My roommate sees that I took a piece of candy and just runs in the restaurant, grabs a fistful of candy, and runs out. Oh, but right before that, he's like, doesn't want to be like a dick, so he tips a ton. My roommate's kind of wealthy, so he tips like, I think he tips like $120. The guy's like, whoa, no, like, no. He's like, no, and slaps the money on the table. And then he's like, okay. And then later, he tries to tip him more, and the tip jar is like 20 feet down at the end of the bar. The guy who's the bartender knows that he's trying to tip him again, and he's like playing defense, and my friend is like mad, and my friend's very athletic, and he starts like doing old football jukes. This guy's like breaking his ankles, and then he jumps and dunks in the tip jar, and the tip jar's like, and we're like, oh! And then he sprints down, jumps, and does like an end zone celebration, jumps and shoulder bumps everybody in the air. We're like, yeah!
That's kind of
And then
sick,
he grabs
actually.
mad of the candy, and we're like, we're fucking out of here! And then, so then we leave, we go back to my house. It's only 11 o'clock. And it's like not late at all, but it's dark. And
did everyone get super sick?
The only kid sick so far is the one kid who's in our living room now, just straight up like a mummy. So he's straight up like a mummy. We get back to the house. My friends are all outside. They get into this weird argument, and I realize that Mike is I gave him a responsibility that I didn't know was going to be way too much. Because he's one of those people, when he's drunk, I literally can't tell. And now I really can tell. And I'm like, oh, God, I've done something bad. And they get in this weird... You know how sometimes people get in a drunk argument, and it just like... You're like, what the fuck is even... This makes no sense. Yeah. So one kid's like... Girl 1 and girl 2 are hotter than any girl you've ever banged. Mike's like, you can't really compare the two. And then we're like, Mike, we're not comparing the two. And he's like, yeah, but it's tough. You can't really compare them. Like, Mike, we aren't comparing them. He's saying girl 1 and girl 2 are combined both hotter than any girl that kid's banged. And then he's like, it's just too hard to compare them. We're like, Mike, we aren't comparing them. No one's being compared. Then my roommate gets up, and he drunk explains it in the simplest way possible, and the whole time Mike is like, and he's like, no, girl 1 and girl 2, both of them combined together, and the other kid's like, are hotter than any girl I've banged in the last 2 years. And then Mike's just like, it's just too hard to compare. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, by the time we've explained it to him like 8 times, and he cannot comprehend that 2 people aren't being compared. And then like this one kid with diabetes goes, oh, slaps what he thinks is an empty beer can. It's a full beer can. It goes like 20 miles an hour, and my friend just happens to be like I'm sleep. You know how drunk people just will be like sleeping anywhere? He just happens to be like, I'm sleepy now on the couch, and as he's laying down on the couch outdoors, a can flies past and just misses his head by an inch, and it was legit going 20 miles an hour, a full Coors Light. brand drop. Fancy stuff. So it almost blasts him in the face, hits the cushion, and launches. And I'm like, oh my God! And then he's like, dude, I didn't know it was full. He's the most together. He's not that drunk. I go up to my roommate. I'm like, that almost hit you right in the face. He's like, I know, I dodged it. I'm like, no, you didn't. He was just falling and gravity saved his life. And he was like, I freaking saw it and I dodged it. And I'm like, dude, what? And then I go up to, I'm like, Mike, did you see that? The can almost hit him in the face. He's like, I don't even care if it hit me. And I'm like, what? It didn't hit you. It almost hit him. And he's like, if it hit me, if it hit him, we're all fine. I'm like, it didn't hit anyone, Mike. What are you talking about? He's like, it doesn't matter. Even if I got hit, I wouldn't care. And I'm like, what is going on?
Just think you can't compare the hits.
Dude, so I'm like, oh my God. And right before we're about to go inside, my roommate gets up, grabs the kid with diabetes insulin, grabs it and holds it in the air like he's gonna smash it.
Grabs his insulin?
He grabs he's got a pouch of like medical supplies that he needs to be alive. And my roommate grabs it, runs, and then holds it in the air over the concrete. And we're like, no. And then he's like, and then he's like, oh, and then lets it go. And I'm like, oh my God. Please, just give... And he goes, and we go, no! And then he finally he does that for like 2 minutes straight. We're like, just a roller coaster, because we're like, we don't even know how to get him what he needs. And then he hands it back, he starts to hand it back to him, and right when he's about to grab it, he pulls it back one more time, and he goes, and we're like, no! So I'm trying to get everybody inside because they're being loud, and now we're just all freaking the fuck out. Finally, they go upstairs, and then... oh my God, I gotta go to my room. So then I call you, I tell you like how stupid stuff has been. And then they just are blasting music in the room where the kid is like this. I'm on the phone with you and they are just, nobody can immediately see me. So they just all start screaming Marcus as loud as they can next to a kid who's trying to sleep. And they're just like, Marcus!
Dude,
Marcus!
They're being so obnoxious. You go screen record this screen record, so I record it. I'm dying laughing. We get down off the phone and it doesn't record when you make a phone call. So it's just me screen recording that I'm on the phone with you for like a minute and a half. And I'm like,
yeah,
if anyone looks at it, I'm like, yeah, you guys see this shit? Me and Marcus talk.
Yeah, a minute and a half.
Full minute and a half.
Eventually stuff calms down. My roommate goes to sleep. The kid with diabetes and Mike are like, we're gonna go for a walk. At this point, it's like 1 a.m. and I'm like, all right. And then the kid that was been unconscious on the couch is now up a little bit, and he's like, man, I would have went on a walk with them. Or he's like, man, I would have done if they were doing something, but go for a walk, fuck that. And then he just doesn't go. And I'm like, all right, dude. Like,
what do you want to do?
Nobody would have judged you for walking. Like, I don't know what he had to prove. It was like a very weird. He's like,
I could have done it.
Yeah, he was like, oh, man, if they were doing something, I would have went, but it was a walk. Fuck that. And then he just is like asleep again. They come back, they're like, hey, they text me, they're like, hey, watch Superbad in the basement with us. I guess on their walk, they FaceTimed some girl a lot, and then they're just in the mood to try and talk to girls. This one girl comes up that they don't talk to, really, but they're like, oh my God, she's so pretty. My friend just starts he's like, I should Snapchat her. He gets out his phone and is recording Snapchat, and I'm like, I can see the circle for it recording, and he's going, oh no, I don't even know it's recording. I don't even know I'm being recorded. And it's one of the most absurd things ever. And then he sent it with the volume on.
Ew.
And this girl just got that message, and he's literally like, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I was like, dude, you sent that? He was like, all proud of it. So they're like, everything's winding down. He was like, dude, is something wrong with the faucet up there? I fucking stuck my hand. Dude, he washed his hands in the instant boiling hot water. We got a thing that is like for like tea and ramen and coffee. Dude, there's a perfect sink right here. And on the sink is this black knob that you twist that shoots out fucking lava, dude. And it's weird and not something you know if you don't know what it is.
Yeah,
so you're just like, what is it? He was just like, put his hand under it and was like, oh! And came downstairs, dude. I looked. He had like a ring of red around his whole hand. He was like, "Is this bad?" I'm like, I don't know.
Does this look bad?
I mean, it's
just
not
bleeding
it's
in a
not
line.
good. But so I'm like, okay, the night's over. we wake up, I'm like so excited because I wrote down the notes. I'm like, I can't wait to tell my friends like what they did that's so like that they're not gonna remember, because it's like, because I'm basically a stenographer. I'm like writing down the night, and then I go, I'm like, Mike's not here. And then I go back in my bed, because sometimes they wake up early and like, fuck, I don't want to be on a couch anymore, and they leave early. Everybody's gone. Kid on the couch, fucking, he left. He came up from the dead. He's gone. I'm like, damn, he left. And then I look outside and his car's gone, and I'm like, all right, I guess he got a ride home. He was probably still like didn't feel comfortable to drive and got a ride home from one of the other kids. And then I look on the counter and I'm just like, those are his keys. And then his keys are there, and I'm like, dude, that's his phone? And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? He left everything here? And I was like, somebody must have drove him home. And then I looked, dude, his shoes are still there. He walked home. He walked home in the middle of the night at like 3 in the morning.
How far?
2 miles. He walked home 2 miles in the middle of the night. We thought he was dead. We were like, oh my God, where is he? We talked to him and he was like, what's up? And we were like, what do you mean, what? We went up to his house.
What's
like,
up?
What do you mean, what's up? All your stuff's at our house. You walked home. He's like, yeah, I kind of remember that. But he didn't walk home like, fuck this, I'm walking home. He thought like he thought for some reason he was like, come on, we're going. And then, because we briefly mentioned like, they brought up, dude, let's go back to my house. They were like, I got snacks. Like that, and then it was just like dropped, and they were like falling asleep when I saw them last. He must have like woke up or something and was like, snacks! And then he was like, come on, everybody! And then he walked 2 miles thinking he was with a group, got home and just passed out. We picked him up. We're like, all right, let's go get breakfast. The story ends with us getting breakfast. We leave. My roommate's getting into the truck. And he thinks it's so funny to fart as he's stepping into the truck. And then he farts. And then I'm like, oh my God. And then he farts again. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Let's go. And then he goes like looking at me and he thinks it's all funny that he's farting. And then he goes, oh my God, I just pooped my pants.
Ew.
And then he pooped his pants, Mackenzie. He looked at me scared as an adult man and went, I just pooped my pants. And then we drive, and then we start to drive, and it's weird to get out of this diner that we're at, and then we see my friend like doing laps.
Wait, you just still got in the car and sat down?
We gotta drive home. We're leaving. We're like leaving. It's like, oh, we're going home. What is he gonna do?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I wouldn't sit down.
And then, so then he's like, and then he's like, oh man, it happens. I'm like, not to me, dude.
No, it doesn't.
I'm like, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
You know what happens when you try and force farts out making eye contact with me? So the parking lot was a little bit weird to get out of. You gotta go one way, even though we need to go the other, so you gotta like turn around. And then we see my friend just doing loops in the parking lot of the diner, and then my roommate, who's now newly crapped his pants, is like, ha, look at Mike, he can't even get out. I'm like, yeah, what an idiot he is. What an idiot that guy is. And then we're driving, I'm just laughing and like blown away at what's been happening over the last 12 hours. And then he's just like, every once in a while it'll go quiet, and then he'll just be like, oh man, that guy got pulled over. Oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, that guy must feel so stupid. Hey, you're the only guy on this entire road right now that has shit in his pants. And then later he's like, oh dude, it wasn't that bad. It was just diarrhea. And I was like,
ew.
How is that better? He like sharted. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, woo, never mind. Oh, never mind, that's fine. Oh, a gentleman. Oh, it was just oh, sorry, madame, it was just a shart.
Thank you.
So that was the whole thing.
Alright, so.
The more subs we get, the more pain I have to go through.
We're gonna just keep subscribing, and we'll do whatever you want. Well, not whatever. Put a little asterisk. Not whatever. But we'll do a lot of the things you want us to do.
Just subscribe, watch our TikToks. Marcus isn't funny. Mackenzie, what's yours?
Mackenzie Berg.
Doesn't really have a ring to it.
1, 2, 3.
Hey.
It's fine.
You never do it. No, Alright, we're done. Stop, get your hands.
It's fine.